Sergeant First Class Flores, and this is the HB podcast. I'm from the Huntington Beach Recruiting Company in Southern California. I'm back today with Chief Warrant Officer 3, Iran Matias-Elias. Chief Matias has been in the Army for the last 20 years and is currently retired. Chief Matias, thank you for joining us today and letting our viewers learn a little bit about your life and your career. Chief, can you tell our viewers actually a little bit about yourself, your life and your career?
First and foremost, thank you for inviting me. I mean, in a nutshell, 20 years plus of service, retired as a CW3, a Special Forces Warrant Officer. Started as an 11 Bravo or Infantryman, transitioned into a signal analyst, what I believe is 98 Charlie. I really don't know the MOS now how I converted. Then went on to Special Forces. There I held multiple positions as a communicator, intelligence analyst, operations, and multiple commander positions. I've been stationed in Fort Wainwright, Alaska, for Bragg and Eglin, Florida. The majority of my time was spent actually in Bragg and Eglin. I have over 16 to 18 rotations between the Middle East and Central and South America. In a personal level, I'm married to my high school sweetheart for 20 years, have 2 kids. One is 15, attends Pace High School. The other one is 20, attends Florida State University and is majoring in biomedical engineering.
Chief, now we want to ask you some questions about your career and decisions to really get to know you, the person behind the rank. What influenced your decision in actually joining the Army?
Man, I don't know what it's kind of hard. I think besides the catchy 80s recruitment phrase, "Be all you can be" commercials, I don't know. That was when I was on in the Hollywood movies like Rambo, etc. I didn't know much about the military, but what I did know, it was a mighty reputation the U.S. military had, which still holds to this date. So that was one thing that attracted me a lot for the military. I want to be part of this sort of brotherhood. I joined at the age of 17, and I do not regret it. It was my best decision I made. However, I did not know much about the military like nowadays. I mean, you guys doing some things like to inform. There was no such things in those days. So my initial goal was more to join the ranks. From there, life happens, correct? It changes. I develop. As I mature, I kept seeking opportunities to challenge myself. This is how I ended up being a Special Forces. Once there, I just want to be like the best SF operator.
Chief, now it's pretty hard to obviously balance work and life. How was your experience in balancing your career with your family?
Balancing my career, challenging. I was mostly deployed, so I was barely home. Before, there was no deployment limit, no majority of the time, there was no limit for deployment. So out of the year, I want to say 9 to 10 months I was gone, So, but that has changed a lot. So now they're doing a better thing. The best thing I can do is put your family in the calendar, as a priority in your calendar, that's the big thing. I didn't do a good job. I should have done a better job. That's something that if I'll go back, that's something I kind of want to, I would like to I would have done it a little bit different. But besides that, yeah.
Who would you say is the most influential person or role model that you've had throughout your career?
So I had various role models throughout my careers. One consistent one is Dennis Castellano. I think his knowledge, his professionalism, and demand for excellence was like unmatched. And I still keep in contact with him. Yeah, he's like a prime example of what a SF, an SF officer or SF operator should strive to be. So he's a CW5 now, actually. I think he's the 7 group CCWO now, or about to be the CCWO for 7 group. So yeah, he's a really good. He's also a large reason I went warrant officer too. So
yeah, that's right. Because when I originally met you, you were a Sergeant First Class.
Yep, that's it.
Can you tell us about some of your favorite locations you've been assigned to, and like what kind of roles that you played in those areas?
So locations,
the ones you can say anyways.
Well, yeah, I think there is I think the best locations I've been, I think the best missions I've done is the rotation to Iraq with the El Salvadorians. That was amazing. Which so happens that the guy behind you was the team that replaced me over there. So that was at the time was Captain Forrester. So so that was a really really good rotation. It was just really good to deploy to the Middle East, talking Spanish, doing missions, kicking doors with the Salvadorans. And a lot of people don't know that El Salvador was one of the few countries that provided troops for us in Iraq. So that's something that's why I'm always grateful to the Salvadorans. So it was really pretty bad. It was pretty good, going into door kicking, talking Spanish. Like they don't, you always get approved on missions. Let me tell you that. They do whatever. Just let them do whatever they need to do. So it was good.
When looking back at which branch of the military to serve, what drew you to the Army? Was it just a slogan in the 80s, as you were talking about in the beginning?
I think the slogan did help. It was such a catchy phrase, like "Be all you can be." It was such a catchy phrase, correct? And they had this corny ass commercial, correct? But I think also the fact that my uncle served, so most of them got drafted for Vietnam. Only I think the youngest, only one of my uncles was the ones kind of saved from the draft. Like so 4 or 5. So and after that, I had my 2 cousins serve. So and I think it's also the reputation. It goes back to the reputation the military has. I grew up in Puerto Rico, and we have been serving since World War One. Under the U.S. flag. So there's always this pride tied into the military, as even coming from the island. So
Chief, over the course of your career, you've changed paths from 11 Bravo to a 98 Charlie / 35 November that I currently am, and then end of all transitioning and becoming a Special Forces operator. What motivated each one of those decisions throughout your career?
Life, maturity, goals. I think is everything that I first got. I think initially I went in more as to go. I didn't know much, so I just wanted to join the ranks, correct? And once I was there, it was just job satisfaction. I was looking for job satisfaction, and being uh, this is what happens. I reported to my unit. 9/11 happened, so I was one of the first conventional army units that went to Afghanistan. And so I love being a grunt. I love being a grunt. However, I was a newlywed. I had a kid. I was young, and I needed a future. So I went back and I reclassed to being a 35. What is it? 35 November, uh, which is good, correct? Is a good career, but it was not. I was not passionate about it, correct? I was still looking for that thrill, that camaraderie that I saw when I was deployed. In addition to that, when I was deployed that first time, I was attached as a uplift, providing security for an ODA, for SF ODA. So that's why I knew how I started engaging with the SF, and I was kind of driven into who are those guys with with those beers, and who are those guys, but more than the beer and is how professional they display, how they went from being that aggressive operator into being a straight up diplomat in 1.5 microseconds. So that always drew my attention, and not just that, is all the firepower that those guys had. I mean, it was the beginning of the war. I mean, we were just finally the first U.S. to provide security for them. In the meantime, these guys have been surviving with the partner force for months, correct? And they have everything. They have developed everything from hospitals. They have a fighting force. There's no ANA at this time, and the only thing that is happening right now is SFODAs are synchronizing operations, in support coalition. This is a bunch of people that that the ODAs kind of influence to help them fight for their country, and help us. So that's always like really, how what takes a guy to be able to do that, talking about 12 guys doing that, having 300 or 400 guys under their command. So each E6 is serving equally as a company commander, you know. So being with that, so it's really impressive. So, but at the end of the day, yeah, that's what kind of drew my attention. I talked to the wife, and she somehow supported my decision, and that's how I ended up being SF. And then from there, I just started deploying.
What would you say kept you motivated over the course of your 20-year plus career?
I think, I think the brotherhood, I mean, it's being part of that team, correct? I think everything centers around being that, you know, that family, that, that team life. I don't know. I know it's kind of weird too. Sometimes it's kind of weird explaining, but it's all about the team, because from there, no matter the politics, you're still going to go deploy. And it doesn't matter if the ones in charge are red or blue. I mean, it's indifferent for you, correct? You're just making sure that you're trained to, go to combat and survive and make sure you achieve your goals, correct? So,
Chief, given your experience, I want you to talk about the role of leadership in the Special Forces community. Can you
the
tell me a
role,
little bit about what the role is for the Special Forces Warrant Officer within that community itself, as well as the enlisted, since you played both roles?
I think from either way, either way, I think the view remains you're always being assessed, and that you have to earn your Green Beret every day. I think that's what it comes down. So that inherently gives you this inherent challenge, correct? Also, the up tempo is high for both. So the only key difference is the position you hold. That's about it. I mean, I started as a communicator, so I served as a communicator. But beyond that, I also had S6 duties, correct? But at the same time, I also was able to manage a partner force equal size of a company. So that I had to be able to do all those hats, correct, at all times. So and then as you become senior, you kind of develop more. Then you would go into the operations, correct? You're being mentoring that's partner force sergeant major or equivalent, or whatever you designate. Then you become the commander. Now you're talking to the X as the XO, you're the partner XO, and then you assume command, and then you're talking to the equivalent or O5 or O6, helping them make decisions. So so it's just a role, but I think you can grab any of our guys and they will excel at any positions because we're cross-trained to do that, correct? In my absence, somebody's going to pick up the slack. So a prime example, I pick up some key things when I with the Salvadorans because I spoke Spanish, correct? I spoke Spanish to the level that I can engage at the general Petraeus level.
Wow.
So those are but I was the right guy. So the captain, his Spanish was not that good. So he allowed me the space to say, I need you to kind of be the face for this guy. So every guy is trained to hold any position. And I think that's the beauty of us. Yeah, it's all about a team. That's it. It comes down to.
What would you say is leadership to you?
So leadership is making those who surround you successful, because by you doing that, inherently you will be successful. If you don't do that, you're just doing a dictatorship, and that only lasts so long, and you're gonna get discontent. And that is something that in 12-man teams is something that's not even an option. So that's why we have to make sure that we have.
What do you think the future of leadership looks like within the Special Forces community now that you've parted ways, Chief?
I think SF will continue to evolve and prepare for the future challenges. That's what it comes down to. SOF is a flexible force because of its size and once again the latitude that the command offers. It's one of the few commands that is bottom driven, and in every echelon the leaders aren't trusted. So So they will be preparing for any. I know they are preparing for future challenges. I was there. They are preparing for it. Thing is to continue to create leaders that can be trusted to deploy to the most sensitive locations and act on behalf of the U.S. Under their own criteria without embarrassing the U.S. So I think that's the caliber. I think that's what we're going to continue to do. I mean, 20 years of war we have a lot of lessons learned, correct?
Yes.
So there's a lot of lessons learned with that we have, and SOF has been, at the top of the spear when it comes to being that face always nonstop in the Middle East for the last 20 years. So we lost people even to the top of like rotations, like last rotation. So that's what I think. I think they will continue to refine and reshape the prime, the prime soft leader. So
Chief, what do you hope is the impact your service did to the Special Forces community?
My impact, I don't know. That's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know. I want to say that I gave the tools to create many future leaders. I think I am always honored when they reach back to me. I still have people that still keep in contact with me. Many of my guys. So it's always good. I get a random gift sometimes from old teammates and old guys that I used to be work with. So I want to say I help create better leaders. I mean, that's what I want to I want to say. And yeah, I guess. I mean, you can ask Forrester what he thinks. I was under. He was my company commander at one time. The guy in the back, ask him.
Chief, can you tell our viewers a little bit about Healing Clay and Art LLC that you have?
Talking about healing clay, right? All right, so I think it takes a toll on you, the military. I do have many deployments, and I could get out and get a great job doing something similar to what I did in the SF. However, I don't think I want that one. I don't think my family wants that. So healing clay is my way to get back to the community, but also while healing myself. Correct. I have lost many friends as a consequence of 20 years of a war. I mean, everything has a pretty side, but also there's a dark side. I do want to say the SOCOM command has done a phenomenal job now, making sure soldiers are not deployed as constant as we used to be. So, but it took a while for us to learn that one, correct? Uh, so in the future, I think it's gonna be good. But nevertheless, those combats take a toll. So right now, what I'm trying to do is help veterans that are struggling with combat wounds, visible and invisible wounds, through the process of art. I want to break the taboo that yes, I'm a special forces. I do arts. So get over it, correct? Get over it. I said, but why? Because art has been a critical piece for me in order to heal, heal from all the loss that I, have endured for so many years, correct? So that's the only thing. But once again, we are a war machine. I'm so glad we are coming to an end with this chapter of our involvement in the Middle East. And I don't know. I think we should reset, make sure we have great guys again, and get ready for whatever comes next, whatever threat comes next. So.
Lastly, what advice would you give to individuals considering the Army and future soldiers getting ready to head off to basic training?
All right. What experience? Never let your emotions overpower your intelligence. I think that's take advantage of what the military has to offer. Always seek to be better. Search for that job that fulfills you. Avoid toxic people, man. The cancer that only knows how to complain. Those people are toxic. Steer away from those guys. Provide solutions. Be that guy that always provides solution. That's what the new leaders need to be problem solvers at the end of the day. Because if there's something good about special forces, is that all these 12 guys are problem solvers. You throw them at any problem set, they'll figure it out and they feed it. So future leaders, I think, I mean, as we evolve, we need to do that. So from the get-go, I think is be open, think outside the box.
Well, Chief Warrant Officer 3, Iran Matias-Elias, thank you so much for joining us today, this interview, for sharing your life, not just your life, but your career and advice with our viewers. And also from the bottom of my heart, meeting you when I was 17 changed my life.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
Uh,
so much, brother.
I would never be here without you.
No, thank you. Thank you. I'm flattered by you by hearing that. Thank you so much.
All right. This ends another episode of the Huntington Beach Hair Buns podcast. Thank you for joining.